kindergarten, it's W week. So Lola and I thought we would come for a walk at Winton Woods. Come explore with us. Look what Lola and I found. We found wild flowers. Look what we found. We found some water on this beautiful walk in the woods. Look, I found some wood. Look what I can do with this. Lola, wait a minute. Let's make the letter W with some wood. Oh, Lola. You can make the letter W with some pieces of wood that you can find in the woods on a walk. All right, so my walk has ended right here because there's a lot of water. So my trail has ended, but if you look out there, you can see some wildlife. You see the duck out there? He was swimming. He was really fast. If you rewind, you'll get to see his little head there. Lola. Okay, kindergarten, while we were on our walk in the woods, I thought it'd be fun to read a book. I brought along Walter the Farting Dog. Walter begins with the letter W. Walter's banned from the beach. We're banned from some places right now, not allowed to go where we went. So let's read why Walter was banned from the beach. This is written by, Lola saw some wildlife. This is written by William Kutzwinkle, Glenn Murray, and Elizabeth Gundy. It's illustrated by Audrey Coleman. All right. I know Mrs. Dora is working on when books have had their copyright. And this copyright, let's look for the little C. There it is. There's that little C. It was the copyright was in 2007, right there. Mr. and Mrs. Krabby were having a ton of fun. There was sand and sea and sunshine every day. There was swimming and snorkeling and parasailing and lots of staff to boss around. "You're there," called Mrs. Krabby to the pool attendant. "Get that leaf out of the water and bring us some fresh towels," said Mr. Krabby. "Make it snappy. If only that dog weren't ruining my view," said Mrs. Krabby. The dog was Walter, digging happily in the sand. You never know when there's an old bone might be hiding. He detected something under the sand, and he dug more frantically. Treasure, a bone, and it's a big one. He strained to tug it free and let out an enormous fart. The umbrella that was shading Mr. and Mrs. Krabby was blown into the sea. They watched as it carried away with the undertow. At that moment, Father and Mother were arriving with Betty and Billy. Mr. Krabby stomped over to Father. "Is that your dog?" "Yes," admitted Father. "That's our Walter." "Ugh! He shouldn't be allowed on the beaches," shouted Mrs. Krabby. "He blew away our umbrella." "It couldn't have been Walter. It was probably the sea breeze." "Ah! That sea breeze doesn't smell like that," said Mrs. Krabby. That evening, Mother said, "Wouldn't it be wonderful if we had our own little vacation home right here on the beach?" "We can't afford it," said Father, who just bought himself a new set of golf clubs. "Walter eats us out of the house and home." Walter farted guiltily. There was a knock on the door. It was the manager of the resort. We've been getting complaints about that dog of yours. We can't allow him on the beaches." "I didn't see any rules against dogs in your brochure," said Father. "It's a new rule, and it starts today." The manager stomped off. "Sorry, Walter. You've been banned from the beach," said Father. Walter farted sadly. "Never mind, Walter," said Billy. "Let's go for a walk in the village. Just stay away from the beach," warned Mother. In the quaint little village, lights twinkled in the trees. Everyone was enjoying the gentle breeze and the sweet smell of tropical night. Walter was enjoying himself too. Travelers broaden a dog's mind, he thought, farting. The Krabbies were sitting nearby at the sidewalk cafe, complaining about their key lime pie. Mrs. Krabby counted the problems on her fingers. It's not big enough, it's not green enough, it's not sweet enough, or maybe it's too sweet, said Mr. Krabby, smacking his lips. A pelican flapped its wings at Walter, and Walter farted in alarm. The power of Walter's fart blew the meringue off the Krabby's pie, and it landed in his face, and it made an awful mess. The Krabbies glared at Walter. This dog is ruining our vacation. The next morning, Father got a phone call from the chief of police. It had serious complaints about your dog, said the chief. I'm afraid I can't allow him on our streets. Oh, Father hung up the phone. Sorry, Walter, you're banned from the village. But where can Walter go now? Asked Billy. He's grounded, said Father. He stays inside. It's not very nice vacation for Walter, said Betty. Walter farted. Need I say more? Asked Father. When everyone went out to have fun, Walter stayed inside with his nose pressed against the window. Well, thought Walter, I'll just have to make the best of it. He sniffed around for something to eat, and he found a snack, strange-looking tropical fruit. The label said, "Cook thoroughly, do not eat raw." Since Walter couldn't read, he ate it anyway. Then he went to snooze in the sunshine pouring through the windows. Betty and Billy were building a sandcastle on the beach. Look, said Billy, pointing to the sea. How did that island get out there? It wasn't there before. It must have been underwater, said Billy. Now that the tide is out, we can get there. Let's go. They waded through the shallow water to explore the mysterious island. This is the sort of place where you can find buried treasure, said Billy, beginning to dig. Suddenly, something shiny glittered in the sunshine. I knew it, yelled Billy, holding up a nickel. We're rich, yelled Betty. Mr. Krabby sat up under his new beach umbrella. Those nasty children seem to have found something. The Krabbies waded out to the little island. Let me help you, said Mrs. Krabby, pushing Billy aside. Mr. Krabby found a rusty old key and waved it triumphantly. I have a feeling this will unlock something very important, he said. Sure enough, 10 minutes later, he dug up a door, and the key fit perfectly. Maybe we'll find a whole vacation house, said Betty. Though they dug for hours, they didn't find anything else, and they didn't notice that their island was shrinking. The tide was rising fast, and the waves began to lap at their feet. Betty looked up and gasped. Oh, how did the beach get so far away? It's the tide, cried Billy. We're in trouble. Out of my way, shouted Mr. Krabby, and he leapt into the water. Mrs. Krabby dove in after him, followed by Betty and Billy. They swam as hard as they could, but the undertow was too strong. The current swirled around them and dumped them back onto the shrinking little island. Our only hope is to build a raft, said Mr. Krabby. Walter woke from his nap with a bad feeling. Betty and Billy must be in trouble. Walter's stomach was rumbling like a volcano from the tropical fruit that should have been thoroughly cooked, but he ignored it and he raced to the screen door, locked. He stepped back and he charged, bursting through the screen door, and he stepped back and charged, bursting through the screen and leaving a Walter-shaped hole in the door. Walter ran to the beach and he saw 4 figures in the distance with the water rising around them. Mr. and Mrs. Krabby were launching their raft. Billy was trying to help Betty. All Walter could see of Betty was her little head above the surface and her arms waving frantically. Walter plunged into the surf. Shooting pains twisted him around and flung him back into the beach. Was it a cramp after swimming too soon after eating? No, it was the tropical fruit that should have been thoroughly cooked. Walter, save us, cried Billy. Betty and Billy ran towards the shore. Halfway there, Billy tripped on something jolting him from the ocean floor. Walter raced out to help him. "It's a treasure chest, Billy!" cried Billy. "Bones," thought Walter, and he grabbed the handle in his teeth. He dragged the chest to the beach. Betty and Billy pried it open. Walter was disappointed to see it only contained jewels and gold. With the money from the treasure, Mother and Father bought a vacation home of their dreams. There was sunshine every day. There was golf and snorkeling and parasailing on the gentle sea breeze. Experts said it was the most important treasure to uncover in a century, but Betty and Billy disagreed. "Walter," they said, "you're the greatest treasure of all." And it's called Walter's Beach. All animals welcomed. And there's the end. And look it, the Crabbies are now working and serving at Walter's Beach. I hope you enjoyed Walter being banned from the beach story. Come here, Lily. Lily and I had a good walk with you at Winton Woods. We hope you enjoyed your day. Stay tuned to the next video because we're going to do a walking water science experiment. And don't forget, what letter are we working on this week? That's right, Lola, you can help me. I'm not doing it very well. Here we go. What letter? The letter W. Take care, kindergarten. Till next time.